You've covered Kevin Kamenetz for how many years?
Oh, I think going back to maybe it's been at least a dozen. I covered a majority of his time on the council. He was elected in 1994, and I think probably starting around 96 or 98.
Okay.
So it's the bulk of his career on the Baltimore County Council and almost his entire first term as county executive.
Okay. And what kind of guy was he?
Well, he's like most elected officials, probably a combination of things. He was very smart, a guy who was known to take on a lot of really challenging and difficult issues, sometimes a lot of wonky issues, especially in the realm of development. But he was also kind of a guy who, because he was so smart, he kind of knew he was smart and frequently thought he was the smartest guy in the room. And that sometimes led people to bristle a little bit. He frequently faced criticisms that he was could be arrogant and standoffish. He was prone, as most elected officials are, to using the levers of power to go after people who had positions that opposed his. But others will describe him as a man who was really motivated by making government as good as it could be and being a good government official.
Was it any surprise that he ran for governor?
No, I don't think it was a surprise. I think everybody sort of knew after his first term that he was really gearing up and looking at the idea of being governor. And so I don't think it really surprised a lot of us who knew him at all.
And it seemed as though he was staking out kind of more of a centrist lane for himself in the race for governor, at least centrist as compared to Ben Jealous and Rich Madaleno and maybe a couple others.
Sure, I think that that's true. I mean, he did find himself on he took some stands on immigration issues, especially after Donald Trump was elected. But he really tried to portray himself as a little bit of a moderate, somebody who understood economic development. That was a big issue for him in Baltimore County. Somebody who understood the importance of development and revitalization. You look at what he's doing, what is going on in Towson, which is a much different place today than it was, 8 years ago. But yes, I mean, definitely trying to stake out his niche as a moderate Democrat in some ways.
So what did folks think about his choice of Valerie Irvin as a running mate?
Look, I mean, I think that was really motivated by a desire for geographic diversity, and also because bringing a woman onto the ticket. Because he's very well known in central Baltimore, in central Maryland, in the Baltimore County region, he needed an inroad into Prince George's County, which is home to a lot of Democratic, Prince George's and Montgomery County, where there are a lot of Democratic votes. He needed that geographic diversity.
And have you heard anything about what her decision's going to be going forward?
We're still waiting, and there are a lot of questions that remain to be answered about that. She has the option to move forward. She has to make that decision by the 17th. There are also some questions that we aren't able to answer ourselves regarding the money involved in the campaign. My understanding from talking to state elections officials is that if it's in the shared slate account, she would legally have access to it. But if it's money that Kamenetz raised himself that remains in his individual account, because the law sees the lieutenant governor and the governor candidates as separate candidates, she would not be able to necessarily access that money that's in his individual account.
So she's got a tough decision ahead, it sounds.
It's absolutely a tough decision. I think there are a lot of tough decisions, both for her campaign and also moving forward, looking at what's going to happen in Baltimore County.
One last thing. He was known to be kind of a health food nut, or at least that's the impression I got. See, this heart attack sounds even more unusual, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, he, everybody that I spoke to today talked about, the fact that he gravitated more towards, frequently, the phrase I frequently heard today was granola and yogurt. I spoke to Don Moeller, the longtime spokesman for the county executive, who said that there were a number of times where they would spend, they would be out late, doing county business, and it would have been very easy for them to go through a drive-through and get some fast food. And the county executive absolutely refused those kind of options. And Moeller joked with me a little bit and said, it was the kind of place where, if the staff wanted a donut and he was on the floor, you probably were going to have to go through him to get to it.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Bryan. I appreciate the call.
No worries. Thanks so much.